Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the Sootopolis Draft League. We are on our final match of the stream in this top four week. We are going to feature a game between the Tokyo Thunders and the Celtics of Torkoal. Should be a very exciting match here. As you can see, the Celtics of Torkoal are actually up 3-2, so proving that despite their quite poor regular season record, that they still have a chance to actually make it to finals.
Yeah, definitely a very impressive run back from them, getting into the wild card, knocking out the Lunala Dream Eaters, who had a pretty good regular season and now are actually in an advantage against the Tokyo Thunders here, who also had a very good regular season as well.
Yeah, definitely. And proving a bit of a luck of the Irish there with their Celtic mascot. We're going to be featuring a Series 13 game here between Ciemmelle and Aizakkoo. Ciemmelle is a very accomplished player. They were the VCL champions with the Capital Underdogs. They were in top four of NPA 11 with the Samurais. And they have multiple top cuts in grassroots tournaments. And a bit of a side note, they are currently 5-1 in this league. So definitely one of the top players. And they are 3-1 in Series 13 and 2-0 in Spike Mood. So very diverse winning records there.
Yeah, definitely. On the other side, we have Aizakkoo, who is a fairly newer player, having started playing in the Moon Series in 2019. Did manage to get a top four in another team draft league with the Stoutlands in the Smogon VGC League Series 2, and then also currently has a 1-2 record right now. Has yet to play a Series 13 game, so we'll have to see how comfortable they are with that. Does have a 1-2 record in Spike Myth at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And like we mentioned, we are featuring a Series 13 match. So we're definitely going pedal to the metal with the offense, as is natural in Series 13. So CML is going to be rocking a hyper offense team, including the Regieleki, Whimsicott, Charizard, Groudon, Calyrex, and Zacian, which is a very similar team to what they ran previously in Series 13, which had the same sort of core in the Charizard, Groudon, Calyrex, Zacian, but previously included the Grimmsnarl and Gastrodon. So a very familiar core for them with some new additions.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Aizaku saw that coming or not. Aizaku does have, again, very offensive team on the other end, though slightly bulkier, has a trigger mode with Calyrex and Dialga. The Kyogre with the rain, going to be able to disrupt the sun that the Groudon and the Charizard want so much, and then has some damage control with the Incineroar as well.
Yeah, definitely. So both teams bringing pretty similar concepts with the hyper offense tailwind stuff, but in different ways. So we'll have to see if CML can keep the Tokyo Thunder's hopes alive for finals, or if Aizakkoo can seal the deal and send the Celtics to finals. So we're going to see Aizakkoo leading the Zacian and Whimsicott, the two fairy types on their end, and CML is going to lead Charizard and Whimsicott. So lots of offensive pressure as we expected here on this turn one.
Yeah, definitely. Even though the Charizard isn't really at risk of a turn one knockout here, Zacian does do a ton of damage with the Behemoth Blade if it maxes or if it doesn't max. And the Whimsicott sets will be interesting to see here because Prankster on with a ton of different support options. Very important information to take into game two and game three for these players.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like Whimsicots have sort of evolved into an even bigger monster in Series 13. They run things like Charm and Light Screen, and they still have, access to things like Trick, even wackier support options that I'm sure aren't even that common. But yeah, like you mentioned, yeah, the Charizard's in a pretty good spot here to just set up Wildfire. And we do see the Sunny Day is packed onto this Whimsicott for CML, so we'll have to see who decides to sort of get up the tailwind and who's going to go for damage mitigation and things like that. CML is going to opt to just max that Charizard right away. We'll have to see if they go for speed control with the Airstream or if they want to just get up that Wildfire and potentially knock out this Zacian. And we'll have to see how Aizakkoo counteracts this.
Yeah, definitely. Aizaku in a bit of a precarious situation here with the two Mons that are very weak to Charizard, but can get a ton of damage with the Zacian right away here if they so choose. And it looks like they don't protect, so probably a attack coming into one of these slots here.
Yep, and we do see matching tailwinds. This Zacian is going to go ahead and throw Behemoth Blade into the Whimsicott. We will see if the Focus Sash is revealed on this turn one, and is actually not. So this Whimsicott is effectively gone for this game, and the Charizard is going to be able to follow up with something like a Wildfire, which it does into the Zacian. Should be plenty to pick up the KO. Zacians are bulky. Oh wow, okay, I was mistaken. Zacian actually able to hang on. This Zacian is clearly built different, but thanks to that Wildfire chip it is enough to take it out in the end.
Yeah, such a useful effect for that wildfire there, being able to just chip down the Zacian that you failed to KO. Now, pretty good trade. Just trading the Whimsicott for the Zacian, but both match Tailwind, so Charizard is free to go for max Airstream here potentially. Does have the wildfire set to do a ton of chip. But the Kyogre comes in, not something you really want to see for this Charizard.
Yeah, definitely. But thankfully, in that Pokemon selection screen there, we did see that Ciemmelle has the Groudon in the back there, so potential to switch it in and reset that weather to the sun. Or you could just go on offense with the Zacian in this position. You do have the Tailwind up, as we saw matched in that turn one, so you could opt to just do some big damage into the Kyogre. Although you do have to worry about a Max Kyogre because Max Kyogre will do a lot of damage to anything on the field.
Yeah, it'll be pretty difficult to KO from this position as well on CML's end, but going for a max Airstream into the Whimsicott and does, like you say, switch out the Zacian, set up that Sun, and kind of mitigate the damage that the Kyogre is going to go for here.
Yeah, definitely. We actually see that Grimmsnarl, or excuse me, the Groudon is weakness policy in the back there. So if this Kyogre just opts to stay in and go for something like a Water Spout, this Groudon will be at +2 and have an Airstream boost as we see this Charizard decide to target into that Whimsicott slot, which is actually being switched out for an Incineroar. So I believe that Charizards are capable of KOing Incineroars with Airstreams, especially with that Solar Power activated. So we'll have to see if they get the KO here. But it looks like Aizakkoo is going to go ahead and max this Kyogre. So we'll have to see how much damage this Kyogre is able to do with something like a Max Geyser in the Sun, or maybe they elect to go for something like a Max Lightning into the Charizard slot.
Yeah, if the Kyogre gets a ton of damage off the Groudon, you will kind of stop it from just sweeping you with that weakness policy boost in the Airstream as well. But the Charizard is going to be able to do a ton of damage into the Incineroar with the Airstream with the Solar Power boost. And now Groudon is free to go for a potential attack on the next turn as well with the speed boost.
Yeah, definitely. And Charizard lacking that Life Orb items, unable to pick up the knockout onto Incineroar. And this Kyogre is just going to follow up with a Max Geyser into the Charizard. So, thankfully for Aizakkoo, the Charizard is not the bulky weakness policy variant that sort of popped up around the World Championships. So they're in a pretty decent position still. And this Groudon is intimidated thanks to the switching orders that the Incineroar came in on. So, it is +1 speed, but I don't think this Kyogre is necessarily threatened this turn. The Charizard could go for something like an Airstream, but yeah, the Kyogre seems pretty safe.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, the Airstream Precipice Blades could do a decent amount of damage, but having the double HP on the Kyogre is going to be very crucial here. Ciemmelle actually just decides to preserve the Groudon for the weather and goes into the Zacian this turn. Considering that the weakness policy didn't get activated, it feels like using the Groudon later on might be the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. And this Incineroar is just going to go for what appears to be a fake out into the Zacian's incoming Zacian. And Charizard's just going to go for a max Rockfall. So opting to not get any more speed control, just wanting to knock out that Incineroar or catch in that Whimsicott on the switch that would potentially be knocked out from the Sand Chip as well as the Rockfall damage. But this Kyogre is pretty free to just go for a Geyser into that Groudon slot, especially given that the Sun is not activated. And we do see the Geyser coming out into the Zacian. Let's see if it's enough to pick up the KO. And wow, these Zacians are just proven to be very bulky in this format, able to hang on from that Max Geyser.
Yeah, definitely. We also haven't seen any type of item from the Kyogre like a Life Orb, so it's interesting to see what Aizakkoo is running on that as well. Potentially not an offensive item here.
Yeah, definitely. And CML proving to be a very experienced Series 13 player. That Rockfall was actually very smart. They probably anticipated being able to live the Geyser if the rain was not up with the Zacian. So very good on their part to just go ahead and change the weather and switch in their Zacian and live that attack.
Yeah, definitely managed to switch up a little bit of an awkward position where the Groudon had come in to set up the Sun, but Kyogre got the rain back up. So now the rain is still up, but you do have that Groudon switch if you so choose to go into it. And it looks like the Charizard is free to go into damage in either slot here.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see that there's a grass move on that Zacian, so I'm assuming it to be that Solar Blade move. So CML could go for something like a Solar Blade into the Kyogre and switch into Groudon, but we are going to see a Charm come out here into the Zacian, one of those pesky moves that Whimsicott's able to equip. It looks like Charizard's going to go for a Hurricane into the Whimsicott. That should be plenty enough to pick up the knockout. And now Aizakkoo is just left with their Kyogre, and this Zacian is probably going to follow up with a Behemoth Blade into this Kyogre. And thanks to that Charm, it's now at -1, so it shouldn't be doing too much. But this Kyogre can only take 1 KO here coming up.
Right. Now Ciemmelle is forced a 2v1 onto the Kyogre with the Sun going up with a Groudon, so it'll be interesting to see if the Kyogre has enough damage with something like an Origin Pulse. Probably enough to take out the Zacian even in the Sun, but if it procs the weakness policy on the Groudon, Groudon might be able to just take it out with the P-Blades once the max is over here.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see that Wildfire chip still activated, so maybe Ciemmelle might opt to go for something like a double protect, let that Kyogre get chipped down. And I would imagine a -2 or a -1 Solar Blade would still do a really good chunk of damage to the Kyogre. So you might be able to just Solar Blade and follow up with a Precipice Blade if they connect, of course.
Of course. And it looks like there's a rock move on the Groudon here, so not having really anything super safe to go into, just opts to go for the P-Blades for the damage on this turn.
Yeah, certainly. So the Zacian is going to go ahead and protect. Wants to stick around for one more turn. The Groudon does hit its Precipice Blades and shows that it's faster than the Groudon. And thanks to that single target damage, going to go ahead and finish off this battle. So very well played by Ciemmelle, just opting to match those Tailwinds early on and put on a lot of offensive pressure with Charizard. They played it really well, especially with that Rockfall into the Zacian switch, which allowed it to live and get off some really important damage into the Kyogre in that late game.
Yeah, definitely. That last turn played out pretty well for them as well. They don't have to go for the Solar Blade. Groudon just KOs with the P-Blades. You save the info with the item and the moveset on the Zacian. And now you know that you're actually faster than the Kyogre with no speed boost. So a lot going into the next game. You would assume for the other side here on Aizakkoo's end, you would want to switch up the lead because Zacian and Whimsicott didn't have quite enough to deal with the Charizard max right away. So interesting to see what they go for on the next game here.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It seemed like they really Aizakkoo definitely leaned into that Kyogre, and it just wasn't quite enough to overcome that Sun mode. So, yeah, we'll have to see how these two players adjust into Game Two. Maybe we'll see something like a Dialga or even a Calyrex on Aizakkoo's side, and maybe CML will bring that Calyrex or the Regieleki. So we might get to feature some different legendaries here in our final game of this stream here. And we do see the Dialga and Whimsicott. Very interesting lead here. Followed by the Charizard and Whimsicott on CML's side.
Yeah, I like the adaptation on CML's end here. Um, Charizard can do a ton of damage into the Dialga, of course, but Dialga does threaten a KO with the Rockfall. So if you don't switch into the Groudon here, you just get up Tailwind, and Charizard probably doesn't KO the Dialga. And if you do switch in, then you're under threat of taking a Tailwind Max Rockfall on the other end.
Exactly. Yep. CML and Aizakkoo. CML is sort of forced to match the Tailwinds here if they want to do any damage because if you go for the if you don't go for the Tailwind, yeah, you're at risk of a Rockfall, and then the Charizard won't be able to do anything. So we are going to see a max from CML here. They're going to go ahead and max their Charizard. We'll have to see if they decide to go for maybe Speed Control or a max Wildfire like we saw in that game one. And we'll have to see if Aizakkoo decides to match this Dynamax with their Dialga, or maybe if they go for something like a Trick Room. Looks like the Whimsicott is going to go for a Light Screen on Aizakkoo's end, so maybe anticipating a Tailwind. Whimsicott on CML's end is going to go for the Sunny Day, so we'll have to see if this Dialga is bulky enough to take a sun-boosted Wildfire behind Light Screen. Wildfire is going to come out into the Dialga. Let's see if it's able to live. No, it's absolutely gone. That did a lot of damage. Ooh, the critical hit, maybe that mattered given that the Charizard's not Life Orb, but regardless, that Dialga is gone from this game in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what the calc is on that with the light screen and the sun up. It's definitely not something you see every day. But considering the Dialga didn't max, you definitely put yourself at risk there of at least taking a lot of damage with the Wildfire on turn 1. Now Aizakkoo in a very difficult spot. He does know that the Whimsicott is not Sash because he KO'd it with the Behemoth Blade in one hit, game 1. But now the Kyogre is going to have to do a lot of work again, like game 1, and didn't quite manage to sweep that time. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And yeah, see, I mean, putting yourself at such an early Pokemon advantage is definitely promising for this win. And Yeah, I think CML is in a position where they can probably just click Tailwind and Airstream and take out that Whimsicott. But they might also just click Sunny Day and just sort of mitigate that Kyogre damage even more while also getting up an Airstream. So we'll have to see what they decide to go here. Whimsicott going to go for a Tailwind, just wanting that Kyogre to go as fast as possible. But we are going to see what looks to be the Sunny Day on CML's end. So if this Kyogre goes for water moves, they are greatly reduced in damage. Although the Kyogre does have the speed advantage. We are going to see what I'm guessing is a water spout. My Italian is not great, so it was definitely a spread water move. And the Airstream going to go into the Whimsicott and finish it off. So CML here with both the weather damage and the Whimsicott is still available to get up a Tailwind next turn.
Yeah, going for the Sunny Day there meant you're not under risk of getting KO'd with Whimsicott even without the Sash, unless the Kyogre goes for like an Ice Beam or Max Hailstorm into that slot. So pretty good play there. And then Aizakkoo is really preserving their Dynamax, hoping to use it well in the end of the game, but did manage to get two of their Pokemon KO'd. So it's going to be asking a lot of these last two in the back. Calyrex doesn't want to see the Charizard here at all, so it's going to be very difficult to come back, but still possible.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe if this Calyrex can magically survive a Max Wildfire from Charizard and get up a Trick Room, that'd be great. But you are also under Tailwind, so you might want to try and take advantage of that. So, yeah, I definitely expect CML here to just go for a Tailwind and try and knock out this Calyrex because I would assume they still have Groudon and Zacian in the back, which are plenty enough damage dealers to deal with these two in front here.
Definitely. If you manage to get rid of the Calyrex, we've already seen the Groudon outspeed the Kyogre. So as long as you can keep the Sun up for a turn, just get a ton of damage with the Precipice Blades onto the Kyogre, then you should be in a good spot here. Wildfire just going to keep chipping both slots as well, of course.
Yeah, so Aizakkoo going to go ahead and Dynamax. We'll have to see if it's the Kyogre or the Calyrex. Looks like it's going to be the Calyrex, so maybe Aizakkoo is confident that behind the light screen, this Calyrex can take something like a Wildfire and maybe dish some damage back. You could also set up the Hail, which would be good for the Kyogre. It's not necessarily the Rain, but it still would give you some good damage with those spread water moves. The Calyrex actually goes for a Max Guard here, so not wanting to take any moves at all. Charizard going to go ahead and throw a Wildfire into the protected Calyrex, and this Kyogre is just going to keep clicking Water Spout, and it's just short of KOing this Charizard, despite being such a strong move thanks to that Sun.
Yeah, that Wildfire coming in very handy for CML here. With a little bit of chip, I think it was just enough to let the Charizard survive Solar Power plus that Water Spout there. So now Charizard free to go for a potentially a Blast Burn onto the Calyrex. And then Whimsicott is also alive as well, so looks like a Charm, I believe.
Yeah, Charm plus Fire move definitely makes a lot of sense into Calyrex because if you do proc a weakness policy with that Blast Burn, you're sort of counteracting that interaction there. Charm goes out -2 Calyrex, and the Charizard's just going to go ahead and throw out a very strong Blast Burn in the Sun, and we actually don't see a weakness policy, so that Calyrex is now at -2 for the rest of the game. Kyogre is going to follow up with an Origin Pulse, which is going to handily take out the Charizard, and this Calyrex probably going to follow up with something like a Max Hailstorm into the Whimsicott. And to be honest, I don't see how CML could possibly lose this game at this point because they did stagger their Tailwinds in such a way that they'll have the speed advantage, and their two Pokemon in the back, which I'm still assuming to be Groudon and Zacian, are just naturally faster and deal too much damage for Aizakkoo to deal with at this point.
Yeah, it feels like if the Zacian comes out here, you're really just gonna have to hope for a Kyogre crit knockout on that, and then Groudon just miss every move to be able to come back on Aizakkoo's end here. But Wildfire damage just keeps adding up. Calyrex and Kyogre are very low health, so you know, any type of moves is pretty much gonna KO either of them here. Especially with the Sun up, can go for that Solar Blade that they did hide game one onto the Kyogre, and then Groudon can go for that Rock move onto the Calyrex if they so choose, or switch the targeting if they like as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think CML could probably just focus down the Kyogre in this spot because I mean that Calyrex is -2 and it's not carrying that weakness policy, so you don't have to worry about procking too much damage. But yeah, I mean, who knows where this game would look like.
Okay. Groudon looks like it's hovering over the Swords Dance here, but just maybe going for the Rock move instead. A bit of a safer play. Zacian did go for the Solar Blade onto the Kyogre, and it'll be interesting to see if the Groudon can take out the Calyrex. If it misses every move, potentially that's the win con for Aizakkoo here.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can just kind of click attacking moves here, and I don't think too much can go wrong for you. This Zacian is going to go for that Solar Blade, presumably into the Kyogre. Ciemmelle deciding to ignore the Calyrex for the time being. This Solar Blade is going to do plenty of damage to knock out this half HP Kyogre, and we'll have to see if this Rock Slide or this Rock move connects with the Groudon. Oh, okay. Ciemmelle deciding to go for a Swords Dance. Bit of a flex there to finish off the game. Maybe just ensuring that a Rock Slide KOs next turn. The Calyrex is going to go ahead and Max Quake this Zacian, and thanks to that Charm drop earlier, the Zacian is going to hang on with plenty of HP.
Yeah, Swords Dance was definitely a flex there because now they're putting themselves at risk of crits a little bit. If that Quake killed the Zacian, then if Groudon misses its moves, it just gets KO'd by the Glacial Lance there. So, but now Zacian is still alive, just free to go for a Behemoth Blade and take out that Calyrex. So, very well played on Ciemmelle's end, seals up a 2-0 win for their team.
Yeah, very convincing win for the CML. Keeping the Tokyo Thunder's hopes alive. We do see the Babiri Berry there. Just just a bit of information. Not going to matter too much given that this Calyrex is too low of health. But yeah, I mean, the Celtics of Torkoal were making an amazing run there, but the Tokyo Thunders have struck back, and this series is now tied. So as of this point, both series in top four are going to go to that last game. So should be very exciting. And yeah, we'll have to see if the Celtics are ready to put on that last match and propel themselves into the finals.
Yeah, definitely a super cool match for the last one as well between two very good players in Series 13. Gahaku, who actually won the MVP of this league, having played a lot of Series 13, and then Aura
Yep.
Rayquaza as well, who we know to be a very strong Series 12 player and also Series 13.
Yeah, should be an amazing match. We'll have to see how that goes. That'll also be featured on the Dark Aura YouTube channel. So definitely go check that out to see who wins that one. But yeah, for now, that's going to be it for us for this stream. So we're going to go ahead and throw it to Izzy and Evan for this week's recap. Thank you guys so much for watching the Sootopolis City Draft League, and we will be back next week for finals.